In this video, we're going to look at how to connect to your server and import metadata and media using Islandora Workbench. Running the Workbench script is fairly straightforward. However, you will need to run commands in a terminal window. I'm on a Mac and I use iTerm2, but there are other terminal applications out there that you might like better. This video assumes that you have uploaded your YAML configuration file, CSV, and any media files to the server following the process we walked through in the previous video. An important note before we begin. When copy-pasting commands from a document, make sure any double quotes are straight quotes and not the smart or curly quotes. First, we're going to log into the server via SSH using the Islandora user. We'll be able to do this because our computer's SSH key has been added to the Islandora user's authorized key file as discussed in the last video. I'm going to type in SSH and then Islandora at islandorastaging.usanan.ca because we're logging into the staging site. If we were logging into the production site and our materials had previously been uploaded via SFTP to the production site, I would type in Islandora at islandora.usanan.ca without the staging part. So now you can see we're logged in to the staging server. If you're running a large batch, it's a good idea to start a screen session. So I'm going to pause here and talk about that for a minute. Screen is a Linux utility program that allows a command line session that will stay active when you log out and can be resumed when you log back in. You can start a screen session by typing screen. You can detach and leave the screen session running by typing Control-A and then D. And you can return to the screen session by typing screen-R. So now we're in our screen session. We're going to navigate to the ingest mount by typing cd Islandora_workbench. And now we're going to have Workbench check our configuration file in CSV by typing /workbench --config, the name of our config YAML file, and --check. That check takes a while, so while we're waiting, I want to give you an important note if you're running a multilingual site. You might experience errors trying to ingest media files that have accents in the file names. These files will ingest just fine when running Workbench from your computer, but if you run Workbench from the server, you may see an error like the one shown on the screen here while you're running the Workbench check. In this case, remove the accent from the letter in the file name and simply try running check again. So that check has completed and it is successful, and you'll see something like this here where it says at the bottom configuration and input data appear to be valid. You'll also see a few warnings here about taxonomy field values and taxonomy terms. That is totally expected and fine. It's telling you that you have some terms that don't exist yet, which we expect. And you might also have a field that's referencing multiple taxonomies, and you may not have terms in all of those taxonomies yet, and that's okay too. Now we're going to run the same command again without the -- check, and that's going to actually start importing our objects. If you're using screen, you can detach from the screen session with Control-A and D. You can even log out of the server by typing exit. If you want to check on the progress, log into the server and type screen-R to resume the screen session. So I'm going to let this run a little bit. You'll see the nodes are being created as expected. I'm going to let this run and then we'll come back when it finishes ingesting all of the content. When the batch finishes processing, it will look like this. And you'll see we've just gotten back to our prompt with our username and login, and we have a bunch of messages that say if media was created or no media was added because there wasn't any associated with that node, or there wasn't a thumbnail image associated with that node, because we did add a special thumbnail image just for the collection node. If you're using Screen and you don't have any further batches to process at this time, you can use the command exit to end the screen session. And you can log out of the server by typing exit again. Now you want to go to your site and just verify that the nodes are there and the media are there like you expect. And once you've done that, you are all done. You've successfully ingested a collection and media using Workbench.